Hello friends and welcome back to our channel. In this video we're going to make a skull mask. My name is Katora and let's jump into it. For the base layer of the mask, I picked up a one-size-fits-all mask from my local craft store. Then I proceeded to cut the nose off, widen the eyes, and extend the jaw. To give the skull its bony structure, I'll be using tinfoil and some masking tape. The inspiration for this project comes from this photo here. It is giving Venetian masquerade meets Phantom of the Opera with a healthy dose of Halloween, and I must have one of my own. With the tinfoil armature complete, I covered everything in masking tape. When it comes to making the arm for your mask, there's several things you need to keep in mind. For starters, your chest size will determine the length of the arm bone we're going to create. This is where I screwed up. I measured my forearm and used that as the length, and it ended up being too long, and it doesn't fit as well as I would like it to. For a more accurate fit, I'd measure from the bottom of my chin to the top of my chest. Your measurements will vary from person to person, and hopefully you can avoid the mistakes I made on mine. For the arms armature, I used a driveway marker cut down to size, 16 gauge galvanized steel wire, I start by making a hoop at the end of the stake, and that will be the palm of the hand. I attached 5 more wires that will form the fingers. When you are cutting the finger wires, cut them longer than you think you need, and you can just work the extra wire into the mask for more stability later. I will build up the arm and hand with more tinfoil and newspaper. When constructing my mask, I'm going for a very simple, primitive look. When making this, I'm not trying to achieve perfect anatomy. With that being said, I went with the one bone instead of the 2 bones that are normally there on a human arm. Before adding the tinfoil and the masking tape to your fingers, I positioned them into place on the mask. With the hand temporarily taped to the skull, this is a perfect opportunity to do a fit test. Just keep in mind that at this point it is a little more flexible than it will be when you add your papier-mâché clay. For the skull mask, I'll be using the papier-mâché pulp method for this project. Instead of making my own papier-mâché clay, I'll be using Celluclay. I have a ton left over from my previous pumpkin project. For the uninitiated, Celluclay has everything you need. All you have to do is add water and mix. I prefer to mix my clay so it has the consistency of an oatmeal cookie dough. I like to start with a thin layer of Celluclay, and I will build the details off of that. One of my favorite tools I like to use for smoothing is a silicone spatula I picked up from the $1.25 store. Now that the base layer has dried overnight, it's time to add the details. Two weeks ago, Pat and I hit another milestone on this channel. I'd like to take a moment and thank you so much for the 4,000 followers. And our channel is finally monetized. We couldn't have done this without you. Again, thank you so much. With that being said, if you haven't already, could you hit that like button? And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you're subscribed. "24 hours after I finished putting on the final detail, it's time for sanding. I'm not a big fan of sanding my life away. I only do the bare minimum. The only thing I'm trying to accomplish when I am sanding is just to knock down the rough edges. For mask removal, I start by cutting it into small pieces and pulling it out bit by bit. With the mask freed from its armature, I like to hold it up to light to see if there's any spots that need a little extra love. Time to connect the hand to the skull. Off camera, I wrap the fingers in masking tape. With the fingers on the masking tape, you can clearly see that the thumb is a lot bigger than the rest of the fingers. The thumb will be doing the heavy lifting of the mask, and that will be the major anchor point to connect the two pieces. With a little bit of finagling, the two pieces are now one. For the wires that are sticking out in the back, I try to get them so they are flush with the skull, and I will secure them with masking tape and go over them with a layer of Celluclay. This is an excellent time to do a final fit test before you add the last little bit of Celluclay. Once the Celluclay dries, you will not be able to manipulate the hand, and you will be stuck with it just like I am. Here's a shot of the back so you can see how I secured the wires before I cover them up with papier-mâché. Let's paint. I start this whole process off with a good coat of gesso. To paint my skull mask, I'll be using a series of washes in a variety of colors. To start things off, I'll be using my favorite, yellow ochre. I really would like to make this skull look like it's been around and seen some things, that it's just been unearthed after being buried for centuries. For the layer of yellow ochre, I'm going to be selective of where I place it. For my second layer of paint, I'm going to use Payne's Gray, and I'm going to be even more strategic where I place it than I was with my yellow ochre. For the final round of painting, I'm going to use my other favorite color, Burnt Umber. For this layer, I'm going to paint it all over the skull. I would like to thank you again for watching this video, and I hope this has inspired you to go out and create something of your own. My name is Katora, and I will see you next time. Now let's check out the final result.